Here is the 2024 BMW 330i sedan in blue metallic over Sensatec interior. The 330i is your entry level into luxury and performance with a near 50-50 weight distribution. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and in the fascia, you're not going to get any M-spec bumpers. This is the base level with the LED headlights and daytime runnings that integrate into the active kidney grille shutter with the satin aluminum that's going to wrap around it, front and rear parking sensors, and clearance is around 5 inches. When you're in this option tier, there's still a lot of rivals. You have Cadillac, Audi, Mercedes, Volvo, but what's housed underneath the hood is going to beat everybody in class except for an Audi A5, and that's a 2.0 liter BMW twin-powered turbocharged, which is a twin-scroll turbo. You're producing 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque paired to an 8-speed sport automatic transmission, achieving 25 mpgs for the city and 34 mpgs for the highway, reaching 60 at 5.4 seconds. When you're considering the rivals, they're all going to be Turbo 4s. This is the same power output as a Mercedes C300, which just got a full refresh last year, and this is still faster in the 0 to 60s. This is going to be the most horsepower and torque in class opposed to the Audi. The Audi A5 will have more horsepower, reaching 60 a few tenths of a second faster, but then the top speed here is at 130. You change these 19-inch 5 double spoke wheels, and you could get up to 155 miles per hour. And they also option an M340i, which gets 4.4 second 0 to 60. So when you're considering, do I want performance? Do I want performance in a luxury drive? That's basically the segment that you're getting with this. A near 50-50 weight distribution, satin aluminum around the window sills with a touch of the gloss black that's going to be integrated in the side view mirror. The design to the 3 Series is a more fly underneath the radar, similar to the Volvo S60. The rear is getting your LED taillights, and the lower gets the dual exhaust tips with the chrome accents. Reverse camera, and if I'm optioning a 330i, personally, I would say get it as base as possible, because once you start adding features, you may want to consider the M340i because it's night and day difference in power. It's a completely different engine. Even with your MPGs, it's going to be similar to this, but you're over a second faster in the 0 to 60. But then when you're considering sweet spot in pricing, it's hard to say that the 330i isn't something to tick the box on. Quick release, going into 17 cubic feet of storage. We get bag holders right here in the front with a storage bin and another storage nook. You can fold these up. That way it'll hold any kind of bottles. Split fold the rear bench in the back at a 60-40 split. Because I'm tall, I'm gonna just fold it down from here. That's gonna increase the cargo to the 330i sedan. We need to go inside, start up this Turbo 4 so you can hear that exhaust note. Way power seat adjustment, heated front seats, manual cushion extensions, memory for the driver. The dashboard starts off with the driver focus setup, wood inlay, satin aluminum, gloss black around all of the air vents. Curved panel, 2 screens. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, iDrive 8.5. Put it into reverse. You get a reverse camera, front and rear parking sensors, and trajectory. Open up the wood, and you get a wireless charging pad. The key fob for the 330i. USB port 12 volt. The wood is going to wrap around. Driver mode select right in here, which when you go into your gauge, it will change to make it look a little bit more aggressive. And if you put it into Eco Pro, it will coach you how to drive. Steering wheel. 3-spoke with the paddle shifts. The gauge cluster can go through an array of different content for the driver. including turn-by-turn navigation. It's going to be more sport-derived, opens up into a long storage pocket, but not so deep, USB port. The ambient lighting, you can see, goes on the door panel, a touch on the passenger side, and it all configures in together. So it's going to have more of your everyday or harder materials up top. It's going to be more sporty for your arms, one touch up and down for all the windows, and a long storage pocket with the beverage holder carved out, auto-dimming rear view mirror, and a moonroof. For the back seat headroom, and it's actually carved out for you, which I like this, because even sitting in the center, which you'll see, shouldn't be an issue for somebody like me. Leg space, I'm gonna open up the door so you can see some of the lighting. Isn't too bad. You will be sharing some feet space, which you'll see in a second. Third climate control, USB ports, air vents, cup holders with an armrest. And that door is going to get the ambient lighting. It's the same materials that's found in the front with a medium-sized storage pocket and a large beverage holder carved out. Sliding into the center, I'm tall, so I'll have to kind of get up a bit. And you can see what I mean by sharing some feet space. Button shoulder space is going to be a bit compromised as well, but this is a 3 Series. But like I was saying on the sides, headroom, not an issue at all. 5.6 seconds 0 to 60 for a luxury sports car. Here we go. Not quite there, but near 50-50 weight distribution. It's staying planted. Not moving around too much in my seats. The bolstering feels a little bit more sporty, but you expect that in a BMW. Not too bad with the bins. Now let's actually get up to that 0 to 60. Turbo 4 does what it needs to do. 255 horsepower, so it is pretty good. And 295 pound-feet of torque, so it has the maneuverability that it is needed. And normally when you buy a 330i, you're wanting a little bit of more plush materials, more of that everyday drive too. So you're getting that blended in with this. The exhaust filter's in, but you're not going to hear it until you hit a higher RPM. That is one thing that I kind of wish I heard a little bit more, but I understand because the segment we're in. Just feels very confident. Hugs the road. And you don't feel too many of the imperfections in the road either if you hit any little potholes or little divots. It's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is you're still getting that performance drive from BMW. You're not going to hear it as much, but once you start giving it a little, you will hear it. And the exhaust note, it's going to be a little bit more of a drone. Also to be expected because this is not the M340i, in which you get 382 horsepower, twin-scrolled, turbocharged, inline 6-cylinder. And the 0 to 60 in that is about a second quicker than this, a little bit more so. Interior for the front, it does feel airy and open. Cup holders are pretty good and they hold the cups pretty snug. I've purposely driven here with a coffee to see if anything moves around with some of the performance and some of the maneuverability, and it stays pretty decent, no mess. Even in comfort, I still hear some of the exhaust, so I like that. It is going to be a little bit different in the drive when you're changing it from sport, comfort, and going into the Eco Pro. The Eco Pro, you're going to have the road noise filter in quite a bit. That's going to take me to some cons. When you change the wheels like we have here, it's 600 bucks, not a huge deal when you're around a 44 grand MSRP. but it's going to make it feel a little bit more rigid. It's not as much as a M340i. So if you're debating between the two, this is going to ride a little bit more comfortable, but you're still going to have the harder materials that you're resting your arms for that longer journey. Back seat is going to be a little bit tight, but it's also to be expected. This is the 3 Series. And using the cup holders, I found that the problem lies, you're not going to be able to use your QI wireless charger as easy if you need to pull the phone out on a pinch, meaning the passenger, because you shouldn't be using it while you're driving. But even the USB and 12 volt, it's configured right there. So if you spill something, it's going to go on it, which will short circuit it, and it's going to have to go back to the dealer to fix that. But the big problem ultimately lies that it is a turbo 4 cylinder. I'm not saying that they need to do the turbo 6, but upping the ante for horsepower would be something that would make this a delight, because the Audi A5 has more performance, and then when you go to the S5, it's the least performance in class, which it's kind of interesting how Audi does that, and BMW starts taking over once you get into the M Sport models. But when you're getting into this, you're getting the daily dose of luxury and performance, so you have it, it's just not at its full potential. And then because this is luxury, the seats are very firm, more towards the sporty side. So I would say this is more of a sport sedan than luxury, instead of luxury than sport. As for comparable rivals, Cadillac does a good job, just the screens are going to be smaller. It does have less performance numbers. 0 to 60 is going to be slower in the base trim. Same thing for the Mercedes-Benz, but it's going to be the same horsepower and torque, and yet this is quicker in the 0 to 60. And I get it. We're not necessarily just thinking all-round performance, but as a package deal, what you're getting for around 45 to 47 grand, you're wanting to get some performance out of it, because at the end of the day, it's still a BMW. It doesn't feel sluggish, but you will be pushing the gas pedal more so in the 2.5 to over 3 RPMs on a daily use, which is good too, because you're going to be cleaning out the carbon that will be built up from the turbo if you don't drive the vehicle, because again, it is a performance vehicle, even though it's a turbo 4. It's not going to be library quiet at all. You're going to hear a pretty decent amount of road noise. The steering to it is pretty artificial, so moving in and out isn't an issue at all. It's not that long of a vehicle, nor width, so it can maneuver in and out of traffic pretty seamless. The screens are not an eyesore because of the way they're positioned. You actually sit above them, so I like that. Even if you're under 6 foot tall, you're still not going to be just looking at those screens. The other cons have to go into storage, because they reconfigured this center cluster last year, putting this rocker so it's a little bit more open, but it would have been a little bit more usable if they expanded the storage space, especially inside the box, because it's not that deep. You can't even fit like a 12-ounce cup upwards. Turn radius, about 2 lanes, everyday use. Back in sport mode, let's go. And that's what I mean by you still want to have some of that sport performance underneath it, and BMW captures it. I just feel they could have went a little bit more so, because that's what they're doing with all their refreshed vehicles. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2024 BMW 3 Series for our car review.